Welcome to case study number 7 on text game interactions. In this scenario, it's basically going from a direct approach to setting up the first initial date. And this happened just a couple of weeks ago when I did a personal trip up to Cairns in Queensland in Australia. And I was out one morning for breakfast in a restaurant with a friend. And I recently just ordered my breakfast and I saw this gorgeous girl walk by. And I almost hesitated. I was like, oh my gosh, she's really good looking. So I was like, fuck it. Got up, went out, ran down the street to go and approach her. And she walked into a cafe and talked to the a manager. And I was like, oh, she was in a cafe that was completely empty talking to this manager. And I was like, oh, there goes my chance. Anyway, I just kept walking down the street. I thought, fuck it. Turned around. I saw her come out of the cafe. I'm like, here's my shot. She looked at me dead in the eye and I was smiling. I was like, fuck, I got to do this. So I went up and approached her and I used my direct open. I said, hey, excuse me. I know this is completely random and forward, but I saw you a minute ago and I thought you're pretty cute and I had to come and say hi. And she goes, oh, that's really nice of you. What's your name? And then we basically gave ourselves an introduction. She was carrying a big bag that looked like she was carrying a baby in there. And I just made a few jokes about that. And anyway, she goes, no, it's for work. I'm actually looking for a quiet cafe where I can do some work in for the next 2 hours. And that cafe that I just went into is about to close. So, I'm looking for a nice quiet cafe. Anyway, so I threw in an assumptive statement as to what I felt she does for a living, for her occupation, based on how she was dressed and presented. Almost got it right, but anyway, had a bit of back and forth banter for a few minutes. She guessed what I did. She guessed my nationality and everything like that. All the stock standard things that happens in a really good interaction. Anyway, so I ended the conversation by saying, well, I'm glad there's more to you than just good looks. We should definitely grab a drink before I leave here in Cairns and fly back to Melbourne. And she said, that sounds really good. So we exchanged social media details. And now what I want to go into in this video is really dissecting the text game interaction with you from basically a 5 to 6 minute interaction or face-to-face, then leading into a social media exchange where I break down the text messages of setting up the first date that went really well. And at the end of this video, I'll share with you what basically happened after we had our first date. All right, so in this text breakdown, the unique key points that I want to share with you is because we exchange details via Instagram, that can be a useful tool. When you use Instagram, you can have a look at their profiles, see what they're all about, and discover more about that actual girl more than you knew or found out from the initial interaction. So obviously, as I mentioned before, our initial interaction was very short and very brief, and I only found out a little bit about her and that she's into meditation, mindfulness, and she is a bit into spiritual healing. So when I had a look through her Instagram, I could tell she loves walks on the beach. She's all about being free and she's very grateful and appreciative of things, and she's into a lot of self-development, which I can relate. So the benefit of social media is you can find those little cues on things that you can also relate to, and you can connect with her on a much deeper level than just a surface level or even a platonic level. You can get deeper in the interaction a lot faster and bridge that connection a lot quicker through discovering more about her. But anyway, going into the messages, rather than sending, hey, how are you? How was your day? Or, avoiding any of that boring kind of conversations, she was actually posting quite a fair bit of Instagram stories on a regular basis. So when we exchanged details, she basically already had 6 Instagram stories posted up. And I had a look through them, watch what they're all about. And yes, there was a theme going on, a common theme. So on her Instagram posts, she would have a lot of just gratitude posts and photos of nature, also quotes on meditation and inspiration. So her stories were very similar as well. And one of her posts was a video of her walking down the beach, and she was probing the question, what are your top 3 things that you're grateful for today? So I reframed it. Instead of me answering her question on her Instagram story, which she probably would get a lot of people answering that question and probably doesn't read it, I replied to her story and asked her the first message, which was, what are the top 3 things you're grateful for? And looking at her response, you can see that she gave me more than 3 things and said, well, this list is going to be never ending, haha. What about yours? So I did this in a way where I framed it as me being the authority figure, not her. So by my type of response, you can see that when I said that was more than 3, obviously I'm making a bit of a joke and teasing her on that, but I could feel your energy and I can tell you have a lot of appreciation in you. So what I'm really saying here is that I get it. I understand her. We're talking in the same language. And so with my top 3 appreciations for the day, I said my puppy, the growth and success of my company, which is obviously called confidence coaching, and the freedom to do whatever I want. Now, those 3 choices were done specifically on purpose because I looked at her Instagram and she had photos of her dog, and definitely I knew she was a dog person, not a cat person. So again, I related that to myself and I said my puppy because I do love my puppy. She's only 6 months old at this time that I'm recording this. And then I said the growth and success of my company because she's very business minded, very entrepreneur minded, and into self-development. So again, we have a lot in common and I wanted to display that, hey, you finally met your match. Someone you can relate to, someone you can banter with, someone that gets you and that is aligned with you in life, especially working for herself. Now, I gauged from our first initial interaction that she just loved the fact that, the whole COVID-19 kind of hit in a good way. Like she appreciated it because it gave her a bit of break from her workload. And she goes, I don't mind it, even though my work and I love it, it's intense, but it gives me now the freedom to do what I want because I've got less clients. So you can see by her response, lovely, you are so motivated. She can now see that I'm a very driven guy. And then she just says, have a lovely day in tropical Cairns with a wink face. So looking at her response, her investment wasn't that big. She just gives me 2 simple messages and there's not much effort put into it. Like, what can you reply to that? But at the end of the day, I'm only in Cairns for a couple more nights. And so I've got to set the time and date to see her. So I'm just like, well, look, I'm going to look on her Instagram and find more things that I can dig up and relate to. So I threw in something more interesting. I just said, look, thanks, I'm going scuba diving. Then my second message, this is interesting. So I had another look. I said, after we followed each other on Insta, you now have 444 followers, just saying. Now, if you know what the number 444 means, it's basically an angel number. And having done my research on her Instagram, she's very spiritual, which means she would know what I'm talking about. Now, I also framed it in a way where I said, after we followed each other, not saying after I followed you. So I'm making it equal and framing it in a way where I'm not chasing her. And you can see by her response, it's just very shitty. Have a fun, good weather. Now, obviously, her English sucks. Then she responds to my second message. She laughs and says, I always keep 444, wink face, love angel numbers. So she definitely gets it and she knows that I get it. So my goal right now is to build up her compliance level and get her invested in me a lot more. So then I can initiate the date. So my response, I don't mind taking up the role of being your handsome guardian angel. So again, I'm framing it that I am the actual guardian angel. And yes, I'm flirting and bantering by referring to myself as handsome. And then she goes like, Archangel Michael, haha. And obviously my response is being more playful, trying to think of something different without just simply saying yes. The Australian and 2021 edition. And now she's like, oh, she's getting invested. Wearing a nice suit with big wings. As long as you have a sexy dress to match my Archangel suit. So the meaning behind this message is that I was starting to create a narrative, form a story between me and her, me being her guardian angel and her being the one that follows. Yeah, she disqualified herself here and goes, haha, I'm not the one. Look, my response was a bit chasey and I probably should have disqualified her. And I said, yes, you are the chosen one. Now, you can just look at that. It doesn't seem that she is as invested as I'd hoped she would be because she just liked my message and then just nothing. So what I did then, I waited 2 hours. And again, I normally would not condone this, but being that I only had 3 more nights left in Cairns, I thought, fuck this. I've got nothing to lose. I'm gonna just go in for the date. And then I said, do you have anything fun planned for tomorrow or Wednesday evening? Now remember guys, whenever you're seating for the date, always give 2 options. So her response, I'm going to a yoga class tomorrow evening, which basically means she's free on Wednesday evening. So obviously I go in for Wednesday and I say, oh nice, well let's do something Wednesday. And she says, sounds nice, I have to let you know. Whenever I see I have to let you know, I'm like, oh, here we fucking go. Are they going to tell me that they've got a boyfriend or some shit? But in this case, she was just simply letting me know she's not interested to go clubbing or drinking. I found it can be quite stressful. I'm not a party angel. The little subtlety of calling herself an angel, she's definitely fallen into my narrative. Again, with that response, it's actually a good response because she's demonstrating and basically saying that she wants to come out and see me for Wednesday night, but just this is her terms and conditions. She doesn't want to drink and she doesn't want me to take her clubbing. So that's basically what it says. When I saw this message, I'm like, okay, I want to find a way again where I can relate and understand her and suggest an idea that she would be totally down for. So obviously, discovering all these things on her Instagram, knowing what she's all about, I'm going to set the date for a sunset on the beach with me. Look what she said. That's my thing. Wink face. And perfect. Very nice. So when was your last time you had a sip of alcohol? Because obviously, look, I do want to spice things up a little bit. If she's cool to drink on the beach, then 100% let's go for it. So she said, actually this month. So clearly she drinks, but she's just trying to tell me she's not a heavy drinker. I love having an organic wine on the beach, but I have a low alcohol tolerance. I'm Japanese. So now you guys can understand why she was very bad with her English. Now, organic wine. I literally went to the liquor store and I seriously could not find organic wine. I'm just like, look, I'm just going to grab a rosé. So I said, haha, cute. I will find a baby cup for you to drink from then. So I'm clearly teasing her the fact that she has a low alcohol tolerance. And I said, for hot weather, I always feel rosé is the best. And she said, actually, I have the one. She's referring to a baby cup. Obviously, she's compliant. Rosé sounds lovely. I did respond with, oh, now I need to see this baby cup emoticon. Now, the reason why I'm continuing to tease her, even though we're already at the point of setting the date, is for one main reason. I want to set up the right angle for the beginning of the date. So, most guys will just be flat and they will say, okay, let's meet on Tuesday night or Wednesday night. And then when they meet the girl, it's like they have to start all over again. They have to build up the energy. They have nothing to continue on with talking. Like they just start from ground zero and they're like, hey, so how you been? What's been happening the last couple of days? What have you been up to? How's work going? And so I'm already setting up the angle with all this bantering and teasing. So I'm maintaining the energy level high, even to the point of before our date. And it makes the whole date a lot more seamless, a lot more comfortable to further escalate a lot quicker. So as soon as I saw her when we met up on that night, I smiled and she goes, what are you smiling for? And I said, I've got to see this baby cup of yours. And she laughed and she goes, well, you're going to have to wait until we get to the beach. I said, well, it better be damn cute. And so that's the main reason why I maintain a good sense of banter, even up to the point of the actual date happening. Let's meet at 6:02 p.m. tomorrow. Now, if you know me by now, you would know that I always put random times to get them to chuckle and have a bit of a laugh. So she said, so specifically 2 minutes past 6? Haha, where are you staying? I'm living in Mackens Beach. Now, I didn't want to tell her where I was living because it was literally a party hostel. So I completely just ignored that. And I asked, oh, are the beaches nice and relaxing in your area? I would love to get away from the party areas. So I'm clearly, again, relating to her because she doesn't like parties and I'm framing it that I don't like parties as well. Again, finding ways to bridge that connection and rapport a lot faster. I said, I'm staying very close to where you met me, which was near the cafe. So I didn't want to tell her that I was actually staying at a party hostel. Now, interesting, she recommended this beach that was a lot nicer than the beach that she is staying at. Now, I thought about this for a second, and this is where most guys can make a mistake. They're like, okay, I haven't been here before, but I would love to explore, the nicer places. And I thought to myself, what's the objection of this date? Is it to really just sightsee, or is it to really close and build something intimate and further escalate the date to something more than just friends or someone that I met on the street? So clearly I want to escalate on the date. I want to take it further. And that's not going to help me if I'm looking to meet her at this beach that's located 10 minutes drive from where she's actually located, when she actually lives literally at the beach. When you set a date, you got to consider logistics, like what's convenient for her or you. And obviously, I might as well just meet her at the beach that's very close to her, walking distance. So I just said, Macken's Beach looks perfect. Let's do that. And she goes, yay, easy. So again, to recap, the key points that I want you to take away from this text game breakdown. So if you've had coaching with us and you're now at that level where you can do random social cold approaches on the street during the daytime, initiate a really good interaction with the girl and exchange details, and you get their Instagram and they add you, and you can basically view each other's Instas. This is how you can utilize social media to your advantage by seeing what things you guys have in common, what things she is interested in. And you could also look up a few things that she is interested in that you might not have any knowledge about. Do a little bit of research so that when you go out on the date, you can demonstrate that you have value to give. Utilizing what you see on their Instagram, you can find many ways to relate to them and bridge that rapport and connection a lot faster, which will make her feel a lot more comfortable going out on a date with you, because she knows that you guys will have a lot in common and a lot to talk about, and she'll feel comfortable the whole way through. Now, if you haven't grabbed your copy of The Art of Great Text Game yet, definitely download your copy right now, and you'll get the bonuses case study number 1, 2, and 3 video, which we dive into the fundamentals of text game. Whether you're using Bumble, Tinder, or some form of online dating app, or you do some cold approaches, which is something that I love, and you do random social cold approaches in the day, you exchange details, whether it's through social media or just plain simple SMS texting. This guide will really help you go from a beginner level of texting to an advanced level of texting. And it goes from the opener all the way from the heart of the conversation, which is your conversation flow, to then closing and how you close effectively. If you haven't grabbed your copy, definitely grab it, as these case study videos will make a lot more sense. So I hope you really enjoyed case study number 7, gained a lot of insights and got a lot of value from this text game interaction. Long story short, after our first date, there was a bit of a discussion on having a polyamorous long distance relationship with this really cool girl up in Cairns. So I'll keep you guys posted in the up and coming case studies. And if you haven't checked out our podcast on Spotify and Apple iTunes, it is Dating in the Digital Age by Core Confidence Coaching. Make sure you subscribe to us and check us out. Really in-depth situations, scenarios, trainings, and also guest speakers and appearances on this podcast. So I'll catch you guys soon for case study number 8. Take care and see you soon.